Anti-Slavery Literature by Kat Meredith.
Anti-slavery literature began to appear in 1820 and ended with the Civil War. There are many different types of literature used. Newspapers, periodicals, sermons, memoirs, journals, poetry, dramas, and many others were all published in an attempt to abolish slavery. Through all of these types of anti-slavery literature, people were inspired to join the abolitionist movement.
William Lloyd Garrison was well known for helping to found the American Anti-Slavery Society, which greatly affected feelings about slavery. Along with this, he was also known for writing and publishing a weekly called The Liberator.
The first edition of The Liberator was published in 1831. Garrison was very persuasive in his writing. The first line of The Liberator was,
"I do not wish to think, or speak, or write with moderation. I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse, I will not retreat an inch, and I will be heard."
This newspaper helped to denounce the slavery system and all that was connected to it. The last edition of The Liberator was published in 1865.
Another well-known piece that helped to put an end to slavery was The North Star. This was written by Frederick Douglass, who also happened to be a strong leader in the American Anti-Slavery Society. His newspaper contained various stories about his life as a slave and about how he escaped to freedom. After publishing the issue talking about how he escaped, Douglass had to flee the country to escape capture. Although The North Star was important in the abolitionist movement, Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe played an even greater part.
Harriet Beecher Stowe was one of many in the abolitionist movement who believed that slavery was horrible and immoral. Though, however horrible she thought slavery to be, Stowe didn't believe in full equal rights for African Americans. Rather, she thought that once freed, they should be sent back to Africa. Slavery hadn't made a huge impact in Stowe's life until she visited a plantation in Kentucky. After she saw how horrible the slaves were being treated, she was inspired to speak out against slavery. She chose to write a book.
Harriet Beecher Stowe's book was named Life Among the Lowly, but it is more commonly called Uncle Tom's Cabin. The book is about Uncle Tom and his life as a slave. Uncle Tom's Cabin features memorable characters and gave the readers a real insight on life as a slave. The success of this book was very widespread. By 1854, 1 million copies were sold.
Almost everybody in the North had read Stowe's book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. It was translated into 20 different languages. Even though the book had immense success in the North, it was banned in the Deep South. Southerners disagreed with Uncle Tom's Cabin and even spoke out against it. Joseph Priest wrote a book titled The Bible of Defense of Slavery. He suggested that slaves didn't feel pain when beat, didn't have the same family connections as whites, and weren't even humans according to the Bible.
Long after the Civil War ended, blacks still didn't have the rights they deserved. Black Like Me is a well-known book that talks about the discrimination against blacks, like Uncle Tom's Cabin. This book is about John Howard Griffin, a man who was born white but temporarily dyed his skin black in his 40s. Griffin was very curious about how African Americans were treated, and in this book he was able to publish all the hardships and feelings of a black man.
It's partially because of the perseverance of the abolitionists that slavery no longer exists today. Anti-slavery literature really helped to change the way people thought and felt about slavery, and has greatly helped to abolish slavery in the 1800s.